reached out to some of your family, and just had in general a great weekend. So this morning, again, if you've joined us during the show, please subscribe. Please like the videos. Please share these videos with friends, family, colleagues, anyone who might be interested. Lots of interesting things going on. Like one, I'm re-announcing again my campaign for the U.S. House of Representatives. I'm running against and have been running against Tom Tiffany and now Tricia Zunker. Of course, we got the special election that's going on. Vote coming up on May 12th. Asking people who want to follow me to write me in and make that statement on May 12th. But right now, what's going on is we have the nomination process. So candidates have to go out and get signatures. Well, as a result of Governor Evers' order, and now extended well into May, and probably will go into at least the middle of May, because our legislature can't seem to do anything, and Tom Tiffany is nowhere to be seen. So we can expect that as candidates, that we're not going to get much help, and that would include from the Wisconsin Elections Commission. The Wisconsin Elections Commission, I had asked on several occasions, sent them emails asking what they were going to do, and they kept pushing it off until after the April 7th election, and then Friday before the following Wednesday, when all this started last week, they met and basically said you still need to get signatures, but in conformance with Governor Evers' order, and they'll accept one signature on a page, and you can do it all electronically, but then people are going to have to mail that form to you so that you submit the original form. That process didn't work last time. So we as candidates are going to be putting out and requesting something new and something we can see as exciting, but we're going to need your support. We're going to need you to respond and sign a paper and mail it back and help those of us who want to represent you and help lead this country to get on the ballot. And that's all it's about. It's just getting on the ballot. You don't have to vote for me. You're just saying, hey, you'd like a choice come August in the primary, and like to see that challenge between candidates occur so that you can get as much information about your candidates as possible. So one thing to note, you can only sign for one person in a particular office. So you can do it for District 7, wherever you live. You can then do it for a mayor. You can do it for a senator. It doesn't stop you from that. But for example, Tom Tiffany and I are running as Republicans, so you can't sign Tom's and then sign mine, which, that's fine. That's the rules. So if you've signed for someone, then you probably shouldn't sign for someone else, because those signatures can be disqualified. People running for federal office have to go get 1,000 signatures, and typically you want to get 12 to 1,500 signatures, just so if they're contested and some are thrown out, it doesn't knock you off the ballot. So we're up against a big deadline and a big number of signatures. So I'm going to ask that you help me out with that. If you enjoy these videos and want to put me on the ballot, please go to our website. It's trailblazer19.com. There's a nomination paper page where you can download the nomination paper, the instructions, and also then a sample. And so what some of that looks like is if you download the nomination papers look like this. This is the form you'd sign, and you'd sign like on line 1 and going all the way down. And then before you send it back, you have to fill out the bottom, so that it says who collected the signature, so you can sign, and you can sign down the bottom as the person collecting the signature. And then this form is all that needs to be mailed back to my address on the ballot. I'm sorry, on the nomination paper. All right, and then of course you'll also get this part, which is the official instructions. And then we have put together a list of our own instructions. If you want to download that, read through that information. And then there's also a district map, and it's interactive. So this is a printout of what it looks like. And the yellow is District 7. We're one of the largest districts in the country. There are 26 counties in the district, and it's a big area to cover. So if you live in District 7 and you're watching this video, please consider joining me. If you're tired of Do Nothing Tom Tiffany, and we haven't heard boo from Tricia Zunker during this crisis, watch my videos, see what I've been putting out there, and if you agree with me and you'd like to see better leadership, sign my nomination papers and get me on the ballot, and we'll take it from there and hopefully take back the district, because Tom Tiffany's funded by a majority of super PACs that are spending untold amounts of money to get him elected. Tom hasn't been in the federal spotlight. This is obviously a push to do something to get somebody in here that'll vote the party line. He's known for that. You can see it in his lack of action here in the last few months as this crisis has unfolded. He's not the kind of person I'd like to see, and again is another reason why I keep throwing my hat in the ring. But if the people of Wisconsin decide, Wisconsin District 7 decide that he's the one, then so be it. But in the meantime, with the election process, I'm throwing my hat back in there again and again and again until I convince you that that's not the way to go, or he does it himself. And then, as all things being legislated, there are rules we need to comply with. So I'm Michael OPELA, and I approve this message. And then I've got to put this up, which is my disclaimer with committee. And this has to be visible for 4 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Thanks. And I might do that at the end of the meeting as well. End of the show as well, just to make sure nobody says that I'm trying to bypass the federal election rules. All right. Well, great. And again, looking forward to the campaign. It's going to be interesting to be doing the campaign from my kitchen table, but if that's the way it needs to be, so be it. We're also going to be creating books on our Facebook, creating groups on our Facebook page for each of the counties. And we'll be holding town hall meetings each evening in different counties. So please keep an eye out for that. Laura Ingrahm had an article, had a show with Dr. Phil that I wanted to share with you guys this morning. So let's take a look at that. They were interesting viewpoint. Bear with me, sometimes I got to get through commercials. Well, that's interesting.
Connected Michael's iPad and Dad's pad.
President's new reopening, but it's meant to halt the spread of the virus, but the economic devastation being caused by these lockdowns may be creating a new pandemic, one of mass anxiety and helplessness.
I don't have any income coming in. I don't get any food stamps. So it's just hard to get, any help right now.
I have a 12-year-old son at home and stuff like that, and with the whole coronavirus going on, it makes me stress more. So when I stress more, I smoke more.
Because I'm pregnant with twins. If we were to get evicted, I don't know what we would do.
Now, this is heartbreaking, and you hear these stories all day long. Now we have 22 million people out of work, and millions of business owners are facing insolvency. So how many of our fellow Americans are feeling stressed and panicked like the women you just saw? Joining me now is Dr. Phil McGraw, psychologist, author, and host of Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil, thanks so much for being on with us. I think this isn't part of the calculation of the bending the curve and all of those graphs that we see, and they're very interesting. I'm not saying they're not important, but those comments aren't taken into consideration when we look at those graphs.
Well, Laura, they never are, and thank you for having me on, and thank you for giving a voice to this because it's so very important. This is invisible. I can't show you an x-ray of depression. I can't show you an x-ray of anxiety, but the fact of the matter is, the longer this lockdown goes on, the more vulnerable people get, and it's like there's a tipping point. There's a point at which people start having enough problems in lockdown that it will actually create more destruction and actually more death across time than the actual virus will itself. 250 people a year die from poverty. And the poverty line is getting such that more and more people are going to fall below that because the economy is crashing around us. And they're doing that because people are dying from the coronavirus. I get that. But look, the fact of the matter is we have people dying. 45,000 people a year die from automobile accidents. 480,000 from cigarettes, 360,000 a year from swimming pools, but we don't shut the country down for that. But yet we're doing it for this, and the fallout is going to last for years because people's lives are being destroyed.
And Dr. Phil, just conversations with business owners who I've gotten to know over the years. I come from a family that owned a small business, a car wash, and so my heart is always with the people who get, frankly, screwed. I hate that word, screwed, in situations like this. But the restaurateurs, who their employees are their families. That's their family. And they've had the same employees for 30 years. And these are grown men in tears. And they're like, I can't sleep. I can't. And these are grown men who, and I've never seen this. I've never witnessed this before. Ever.
Well, I've talked to them before, and of course this happened, and when it happened, they got no warning. Some of them had just received huge orders of perishable foods. They didn't even have time to give it away, and they have these people that have worked for them for 20 or 30 years, and they can't afford to keep them on, and they can't do takeout at a lot of these restaurants. They're not geared for that. And so people are just at home, and of course, it's a perfect storm, Laura, because here you've got people that are in isolation. That creates problems. Loneliness actually creates problems. People that suffer from loneliness, they become 29% more likely to have coronary artery disease, 32% more likely to have strokes or die, 40% more likely to have dementia if they're in that age group. So it's not just that it's psychological, their bodies actually start breaking down. So we think we're protecting people's lives by keeping them locked up. You keep them locked up long enough, there's a paradoxical effect. You actually destroy more life than you do by letting
no one would know because the
work.
Now we social
begin to wonder
every day
off and give every people
Bill of Rights. Why?
and